The gentleman I want to bring on here in a minute, I'm going to bring up his picture here first of all so you can see. It's Mr. John Perry. And John, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here, Lance.
Hey, welcome, John. Yeah, I hear you great. Coming loud and clear. And
Thank you.
And are you in front of your PC, John? I just put a picture of you up here. I'm surprised you.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm still bald, Lance.
yeah, so am I. So yeah, I haven't figured out the hair growth formula. Maybe when I do that, I won't be on the calls anymore. But there's a picture of John and I. He's graduated at the live boot camp, and John's you're from Hawaii, right? Weren't you raised in Hawaii?
Yeah, born and raised, Lance. I'm actually half Native Hawaiian.
Oh, that's right. That's right. What's the symbol called we're doing with our street? What's that called?
Well, officially it's called Shaka. It's spelled S-H-A-K-A, but a lot of people refer to it as like hang loose.
Yeah. So anyway, just graduated from here, and so there's a picture of John. So what I want to do is, and John has been very gracious. You know, I just talked to him last week. I said, John, I got to get you on the call with the apprentices. He's been on these calls before. He's a former apprentice, and he very graciously agreed. And I told him up front, kind of, we were not warming up, before we officially started the call tonight. I said, to John, hang loose. You know, don't say anything because I won't make a big build-up. You're going to be here. And of course, John said, well, don't set the expectation too high. But you guys are going to be blown away with this story. So, John, are you up for entertaining some questions?
Absolutely, Lance. Shoot them at me.
All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to, I'm just kind of, just really going to, I have some questions I want to ask just to kind of prompt the dialogue. I don't know where this may go, but I'm going to take John's, questions, let him share his story, and then I'm going to open it up at the end. With your permission, John, is this okay if at the end we take some questions from the other apprentices?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so I'll explain that when we get to that point. So let's talk about you, John, and for the benefit of everyone, maybe a good place to start is, can you just share what is your background in real estate? How long have you been doing real estate, and what have you been doing before you got involved with apartments?
Well, I've been actively involved in real estate for about 10 years here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, my strategy for about the first 9 years of business was to buy and hold. So we were, buying fixer-uppers, fixing them up, then we go ahead and lease them up, and used to be at that time we could go to the bank with the leases and say, hey, I did my job, give me my money back, and they do that. Well, that ended pretty abruptly about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. So we've had to retool and readjust along the way.
So what got you interested in apartments? What prompted you to look at something different than the houses? Was it that with the finance situation or something else?
You know what? Actually, it was really something else. I had we were doing a lot of at the time we did single families, duplexes, fourplexes, did a sixplex, and then all of a sudden I kind of got up the nerve to go after a 42-unit deal, and I really didn't know what I was doing on that scale. So essentially, what I did was, I shot first and then I aimed.
Good.
And I actually got the deal under contract, and then I realized, man, I better figure out what I'm going to do with this thing, okay? So a friend of mine actually told me, he said, you got to go call call Lance Edwards. He's a multifamily apartment guy. So I believe I called your office. It was on a Monday, and you happen to have a training session coming up that Thursday, Friday, and I believe Saturday too. So I had this deal under contract, not knowing what to do about it. I knew I needed the education, so my wife and I, we decided, you know what, we're going to Houston. We're going to, take massive action. We already took action in getting this thing under contract. Now we had to figure out what to do with it. And right at that time, probably a month prior to meeting you, Lance, my wife was let go of her corporate America job that she worked for 11 years, and done phenomenally well for the company. Was always one of the top salespeople. She'd be grossing, anywhere from $11 to $15 million a year for the company, and just in a matter-of-fact way, they just said, you know what, I know you've been successful, I know you made us a lot of money, but it really doesn't matter, so we're letting you go, and thank you for your 11 years of service. Best of luck to you. So we were in that boat like, okay, we got to take massive action. So we went to Houston, and that's where we met up with you, Lance, and, the thing, probably, aside from the knowledge and the skill set that we took away from that session, Lance, the biggest thing that impacted both Karen and I was the fact that you addressed the mindset factor. And I've done a lot of courses for a lot of different, strategies for real estate. And I noticed one thing is that, very few national speakers and trainers, such as yourself, address that mindset issue. So it really hit home to us, and we really fell in love with the program, and, it was a total blessing for us. And I just got to give you thanks for that one, man. That was a big help for us.
Well, thank you, John. Let me, and actually, to tell you the truth, I wasn't even aware of some of the details. So all this happened within a month prior to the live boot camp. Karen lost her job, and you found this apartment, and you got it under contract, and then someone referred you to me. You made a phone call to our office, and then next thing you know, a week later, you're in Houston at a boot camp. Is that right?
About 4 days later. It was that week. We called on a Monday. We were there on Thursday.
Wow, the event started on Friday, so that's right. Okay, so, all right, let me take a couple things from there. So you have this deal under contract, and how did you, first of all, let me ask you, it's 42 units. How did you find the deal?
I found the deal from a broker that I was working with, and she brought it to my attention. The buyer was basically, it was a short sale deal, and the buyer had the seller owed around just under $400,000 was her first mortgage, and she just needed to get out from under it. The bank really didn't want to take it back. They were paying the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance on, on this 42 units. So it was really, really sucking them dry. And so we came in, made a cash offer originally. They accepted a cash offer at $168,000.
168. That's $4,000 a door. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, I didn't have the money to close on it. I just made the offer, and sort of not thinking I was going to get it, but it just worked out. And when they said yes, I was like, okay, now I got to scramble and get the money. Well, as it turned out, I didn't find the private money for the deal, so I went back to the lender and said, hey, are you willing to hold any paper on this? And they had agreed. What they wanted to do, what they ended up doing was they held the first mortgage on the property. We put 5% down, and they bumped the purchase price up to $210,000. So we agreed to pay the extra, $1,000 a door. They were financing the deal, and all we had to do is put 5% down.
Tell them about the finance terms on the bank loan.
It was a 30-year fixed mortgage with no balloon at 6%.
No balloon.
No balloon. I'd never heard of that before, and that was the first I'd ever come across that. But, it's a bank that had so many distressed assets on their books. They couldn't handle any more of that load.
So when you closed on that deal, correct? You bought
Yeah.
the property. What was your exit strategy? What was your strategy for that property?
Well, our first strategy was that we were going to do the turnaround and rehab it, and then release it up because the rents were under market value, and we knew that if we renovated the properties and spent about $6,000 to $8,000 in construction on each unit, that we would be able to bump up the rents about another $100 and bring them up to market value.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was our first strategy, and we ran into a couple things sort of happened. Without having documented income, and I've been a full-time real estate investor, so the banks really don't. I'm like the bad guy to the banks.
They want to see a W-2, right?
Exactly. And so when my wife had lost her W-2 income, which, we had sort of banked on that for 9 years, that was gone. And then we took on another partner for the project, and he was my father. And, that was his first real estate deal ever. So we got him involved in it, and in March of last year, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And the doctors gave him 6 months to live, and he actually lived 6 months, and he passed away. Mm-hmm. So it's been about a year, almost to this day, that we lost him. So there was no chance at all for us getting any type of bank financing. So what we ended up doing is, rather than taking a loss on it, we ended up selling it and flipping it to another developer that came in, bought the property, gave us $50,000 down, and we basically, did a wraparound on the mortgage. So we got $50,000 down on the deal, and we're cash flowing about $350 a month right now, positive cash flow. That's after all the expenses on the building are paid.
So you're at this point, you basically the $350 a month is what, like payments on your note, on your wraparound mortgage?
Yeah, the payments cover everything, and then there's an extra $350, about $350 to $360, I believe, a month. But
you get $50,000 cash up front?
Exactly, yeah, and at the back end, we're looking to get probably another $10,000 to $15,000, because we're, the way we wrapped the mortgages is it was, the interest rate that they were paying is 8.5%, and we're paying 6%. So
good deal.
As we're paying down our mortgage, there's going to be more of a net profit there on the back end. So he's got a 7-year balloon, which is perfect because that kind of keeps us out of the keeps us in favor with the banks because they don't want us to balloon it too soon.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So now, okay. So so just for a moment, pause here. We got this deal. You had under you bought it. You bought it with 95% bank financing. What did you say interest rate was? 6%, John? 6% interest?
Yeah.
30-year.
Right, yep.
30-year, no balloon. Your dad, who you had lined up as basically going to be your private money investor, is that correct, for the rehab?
Yeah, he was more or less coming on board as like a credit partner.
Credit partner, gotcha. Credit partner.
Yeah.
He got sick and he passed away. So your strategy modified to one. Well, we'll flip out of the thing. So you end up selling the property, make $50,000 cash, and getting $360 a month passive on the wraparound, the spread on your wraparound note, basically. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we still have control over the property if they happen to default. So essentially, somebody else is coming in spending the money on the turnaround. And if they execute the transaction, they get a phenomenal deal. If they screw up, we get it back.
And they screw up, you still keep your $50,000. You get it, and you get it back, and you get it back presumably in better condition than what you sold it as, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of threw a little sweetener in there with our other business, with the home services. Is we're going to be able to go in and make money on the internal services on the 42 units. So all the local long distance internet, satellite TV, and then before the end of the year, we'll be able to reposition that building so that we're going to make income off the gas and the electric bills as well.
Okay, so John's ringing every like a sponge. He's ringing every drop of juice. They're brilliant, just brilliant, John. I don't even know what that part. That's brilliant. And we'll do a separate call on that strategy. Basically, he's getting a residual off of any kind of monthly service on that property, whether it's, like he said, long distance, satellite service, soon going to be gas service or electrical service. He gets a piece of the action for every tenant there as well. So he's kind of basically, you have exclusive rights to the marketing of the property. This sounds like exclusive rights to the utility services of the property is kind of what it sounds like, John.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, basically, Lance, whether we take the property back or they close on it and it becomes theirs, we'll still make that residual income off the services inside the building. That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, okay, a couple more questions on the deal. And I want to come back to, this addressing the challenges along the way, if I might, John.
Absolutely.
So, some of the mechanics, some of the skill set side of it is, okay, so now you're looking to flip the deal. How'd you find your buyer? What did you have to go through to find your buyer?
Well, I did an internet marketing campaign, and essentially I reached out to some of the people that I created over the years on my buyers list, and when I was ready to sell it, I reached out to them, and we had a gentleman from Portland, Oregon, that was buying properties here in the Pittsburgh area. So the numbers worked great for him. He flew down, took a look at the property, and essentially put it under contract. And we went forward from there.
How long was for him to buy it, since he basically was assuming, well, they're doing a wrap on your mortgage, so I imagine that was a pretty quick close. Is that the case?
Yeah, it was probably about, I would say, I can't remember the exact days, but I know it was less than a 2-month turnaround. I know there was a due diligence period that they wanted to conduct and just kind of, cross their T's, dot their I's. And, so it took probably less than 2 months to get that deal closed.
Now, one other thing just came to mind. I'm going to go back. I haven't shared this story with you, but I'm going to share it with you and everyone else. I've told your story. I've used it as a case study on your buying it, your purchase of it. When you get to sell, you get the bank to carry back 95%, 6% interest, 30-year no balloon. And I've told that story, and I actually had a guy challenge me on a webinar one time that said, well, everybody knows that banks are not going to carry back any financing on these properties. So, what would you say to that? And tell me about the negotiation, with the bank. How difficult was it to get them to carry those kind of terms?
You know what? It wasn't easy. I mean, there was some times where it got a little bit heated, but essentially it was, we took on the mindset that, we don't really need this deal. They need us more than we need them, and we just went with that mentality going in, and we maintained that mentality. And they got heated, and it was like, well, it's worth 400, 500. It doesn't matter to me. It's worth this amount. If you think it's worth that much, keep it. Good luck being a landlord. They don't like hearing that, but that's the truth.
Well, it's like I say, you have to sell, but I don't have to buy. And that sounds like
exactly.
That's the attitude you took with them. All right, so excellent. So let me kind of switch gears a little bit here, John. And so I mean, wow. I mean, let's go back. You know, prior to getting into this deal, Karen just lost her job of many years, where she's been doing very well, and she's nicely shown the door, is what it sounds like. You got this 42 unit deal, which is for you stepping out on your first multifamily deal, and you're going to buy it, and you don't have the W-2 income, which the banks like to see when they're doing loans. So you've lined up your father. Now get down the road. Your dad's ill, and you've got to obviously put attention to him, and he passes away, and now you're still back to the deal. Tell me about going through this process, the challenges that you faced. How do you address them? What were you going through? How did you address these challenges from the mindset side, and what did you learn in the process?
Well, you know what? I think I need to add one more little nugget that kind of was thrown on my plate right along that same time period. I had a construction company with a couple partners, and basically two of my partners and one of the project managers were stealing money from the company, and good old Uncle John here is holding the bag with all the debt.
Oh.
So we ended up in a hole about $250,000 just from the construction company. Went from two-income family to no income, dealing with the issue with my dad. I mean, it was like everything was just caving in, It was probably I can tell you without a doubt, it was the toughest period in my life that I've ever had to endure. And I'm surprised. I mean, I'm glad that I survived all that, because now coming through on the other side, I know that there's not much that can be thrown at me now that I can't take on. And my attitude throughout the process and to this day was that I never did it alone. To me, I really, really had to tap into a power that was greater than me, because it's like the world was just sucking all my power away. So for me, I tapped into my higher power, which, for me, that's Jesus Christ. Just holding on to that anchor and making this decision that, you know what, I can lay down and die, give up. And most people would say, yeah, I'm with you, file bankruptcy. Or, just bury your head in the sand and don't deal with it. But, for me, I have a wife, beautiful wife, Karen, and we have 3 children. Their ages 3, 6, and 9. And, just thought of potentially being homeless and out on the street with 3 young children. It just wasn't going to happen. And I couldn't let that happen. So, for me, it was making that decision right then and there that, you know what, your life sucks right now, but you're not a quitter. And I made that decision that I wasn't going to quit. So I just put my head down, and I just kept plowing and plowing and plowing away until, things started getting a little better. I mean, it got worse because, when your construction company is that far in debt and you got all these people calling you, where's my money, where's this, where's that, it can weigh you down. So it was, I guess it was a combination. It was, I said, God, you deal with the crap, and I'll focus on what I need to do to take care of my family. And, it worked out. It was, for me, it was a partnership. And, to this day, in fact, since it wasn't until you and I spoke last week that I really stopped to think about all the other things that has come together and probably in the last few months, and I sat back and I'm like, wow, did that really happen? You know, did we really turn that corner, and are we really going in the right direction? And you know, the answer was yes. So it was, you know, first thing that I had to do that I realized was I couldn't use the job loss, I couldn't use the income loss, I couldn't use the loss of my father as an excuse. So I made that decision, you know what, I'm going to stop making excuses, period. And once I identified that in myself, then I started looking at my organization, and I started holding everybody else accountable. You know, so once I started holding myself accountable, stop making excuses, I stopped taking excuses from everybody else. Didn't go over too well in the beginning, but you know what? People realized that I was serious, that I was committed, that I was dedicated to turning this thing around. And they could either get on board or jump overboard. It didn't matter to me. I was going in one direction. They can get on or get off. And some got off, some stayed on. And we weathered the storm. So that was basically, you know, just changing that mindset. I mean, part of what you teach, man, it's, you know, you can make excuses or you can make money. It's really hard to make both. You know, and you realize that your why, you know, why you do this has got to be so powerful that when you hear that why, it should make you cry. Because how you make $1 million, there's a million ways to make $1 million. But the why is what keeps you going when life throws crap all over you. The why is what keeps you focused when your family, your friends are saying, man, what are you doing? You know? Who do you think you are, Donald Trump? And no, I'm John freaking Perry. Who are you? You know, you have to take that attitude that you're going to do it regardless of what comes in your way. And just believe that everything that you really want in this life is right on the other side of the fear that you have to deal with. So just deal with it. And that's pretty much the attitude I've taken on since. And you know, we've had so many things, good things coming our way, but I know it's not a mistake. You know, it's not by accident. You know, all these things were a matter of making little decisions a year and a half ago, and then sticking to those decisions every day. Well, actually, I mean, I'm looking at this list of everything that we got going on, and I'm thinking, man, did we really do that? You know, did that really happen? But, you know, it really did. I mean, we started, you know, we knew we couldn't go to banks anymore for funding, not with the situation we were in. But we started looking at different government programs. And then we found one that worked. And then we found one here in our area, in southwestern PA, that basically the government's been putting money, millions of dollars into this account, year over year over year. It's been over 20 years, no one's been able to tap into it. Well, that account has $3.5 billion with a B in it to basically use the government's money to build homes for, you know, affordable housing for seniors, for low-income families, for veterans. These are all things that I've always wanted to do anyway, because it's something I knew I'd feel good about. But now I can do it, and I don't need the bank's money. I don't even need my own money. You know? And that's one thing that's kind of developed here, and we actually put a subdivision under contract today, Lance, that was underwater. So the developer couldn't sell any homes. He sold 7 homes, and he's got it's a 52-acre housing development that he only built 7 homes. He had phase 1 already laid out. All the lots were already separated. All the utilities were run to the lots. Phase 2, we're going to be drawing out phase 2 this week. But we're going to be building homes and using the government's money to do that. And we're going to get paid very well to meet a need that the government identified what the need was.
Let me ask you a question. A couple questions.
Yes.
Did the discovery of this government funds come as a result of what you were dealing with your, the challenges you were having?
Yeah, all those challenges that we were dealing with, we had to find a lot of different creative ways to bring money in. So that was one way I looked into. I ended up finding a partner that's been doing this program for 25 years in the Midwest, and he's from southwestern PA. We hooked up, and he basically, we're partners on the deal, and we met with the government officials, and we actually even showed them a program that we're doing. We also became a regional distributor for green solar heating and cooling technology, which replaces HVAC systems.
This is another byproduct of you just looking for different solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to all the other making money with the home services and all that stuff, all of these things there was a natural synergy to what I love, which was real estate and business. So when these things sort of came together, we realized that we could bundle this whole thing and provide a phenomenal service that could meet a need, a huge need that's only going to keep growing.
So let me summarize here, just make sure everyone's on board, because what John is saying is absolutely profound truth when, and it all gets down to how you look at things. But what he's just said is, besides flipping this property for making $50,000 cash, which many people be satisfied with that, got a little bit of residual, $350 a month, got potential more residual. It sounds like he's become a distributor with a couple of other businesses through this process. He's discovered some government programs which they'll fund, development of new homes for, I think I heard, seniors, vets, etc. All of these things, each one of them is a great, victory reward in itself. This basket of things came about. John, I'm gonna put words in your mouth. You tell me this is correct. These basket of bounty that came back to you is because, damn it, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. The reason I'm not giving up because I got some kids right here that are dependent upon me, and I got to figure out how to make this thing work. And that's, first of all, am I right in what I'm saying? Am I summarizing this?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Lance. That really was an answer to a lot of prayers, and it just, to this day, it just keeps getting better and better. And, for me, I got to thank God for that. And, also I realized after talking to you is I got to give myself some credit for not giving up.
Absolutely.
And for my wife for sticking by me through that process. I mean, it was such an emotional roller coaster that I don't know too many women who would have stuck it out in that kind of situation. But we were committed to do this together. It was our family against the world. That's the way we looked at it.
And the other thing, which you didn't mention during this whole time, there's something called the Great Recession, which is having a little impact on stuff as well. So, just adding, a little more weight to the challenge. And so, well, let me come back to something, because I'm just, writing so much stuff down here because I hear your story and I relate to your story because I've been there. So we look at this, John. You've come through the valley, the shadow, the valley of death, so to speak.
That's right.
And the absolute trough, what you believe is the trough, and now you're coming out and you're sharing, you're rattling off things on your list here, things that have happened for the positive as a result of, damn it, I'm not lying down and dying right here. I'm going to keep going. So
yeah, that's it. That's it. And there's more to that list I didn't even get to yet, but I don't want to overwhelm. I just don't want to overwhelm people, because there's a lot of things, a lot of doors that open up just because we decided that we're not going to lay down and die.
Right.
So we're going to fight back.
Right. And I mean, this lesson, there are so many people. I mean, there's people on this call. There's the planet right now are feeling the same pressures. In fact, many people are feeling greater pressures than you felt, and they're giving up. So for someone who's listening, John, and let's say for someone who's, let's keep it simple. For someone who's looking to get involved in real estate or apartments, and they're feeling the pressure, I mean, what would you say to them? What's the number one bit of advice from your heart that you'd share with someone based upon your experience?
Well, what I'd really want to say is, don't quit. And you're going to have people that are close to you that's going to be in your ear saying, giving you all that negativity, and you have to tune it out. Find out what it is and why this is so important to you. Why is it important to be financially independent? Why is it important? I mean, for us, it was important just to keep our family under a roof and food on the table. That was enough why for me. But now it's, the why is grown. Is now all these things have come together, and now we can go and help each other out. So find out your why. Find out who it is around you. Find that need that can't be fulfilled by anybody else but you. Be the problem solver. Solve other people's problems, and you'll find success.
Excellent. And I want to add one thing. I'm going to open up for questions here in a moment. I mean, guys, I can share with you. You've perhaps heard me say I have a saying. I have two sayings. One of them is, everything happens for a reason, and it served me. But it's not always obvious. It's not always obvious at the time. When it's not certain. When I'm not getting what I wanted, and I'm walking through that valley of the shadow of death, it's not always obvious. Okay, how's this going to serve me again? But I walk forward with the expectation it will serve me, and with that mindset, I always find something bigger. I mean, when John was talking about, at the low of the lows, when you don't give up, but you're forced to be innovative, you're forced to be creative, you all of a sudden discover these things as part of the process, and what you discover is greater, much, much greater than the problem you were trying to solve to begin with. I mean, I had that exact same experience over and over and over. When everything's just feeling like, it's all just stacking up against me, and I just want to, hang it up, whatever that situation is for you. When you keep going forward and you keep your mind open to the answer is there, the answer is there, the answer is there, your mind will find it, and it'll find an answer that's far greater than the problem you're trying to solve. And the other thing I was going to share is, kind of corollary to my belief, or a saying I have, is I've never made a mistake. I've never made a mistake. I'm happy to say I've never made a mistake. But I've had some very expensive lessons along the way. So And I hear John laughing because you've had some, I think I would imagine the way you look at it now, you've had some very expensive lessons at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. But they were all, like you say, you know, they are mistakes because when you can learn something from them, there's value there.
Right. When you start labeling it a mistake, you are in effect giving up. You've stopped. When you say it's a mistake, you've given up because you're still not searching for, again, how is this going to serve me? There has to be an answer in here. I just got to keep looking for it. And every time in my life, I've had the same exact result that John, I don't care how big the pressure is, but if you keep looking, on this, you know, it's going to serve me, it's going to serve me. Boom, you always come out the other side and it's bigger. But you just, like John said, you cannot roll over and just give up. Then it's all over. It is all over because you're no longer in control. There's always a way out. There's always a way. So, great.
And a very valuable lesson I learned too, Lance, is that, you know, throughout the process, I was stretched to a point where, you know, I could no longer go back to where I was before. So that was, you know, a forced way of growing and maturing more as a business person, as an entrepreneur. I mean, you get stretched that far, there's no way you can go back.
Oh, I imagine you're in terms of being much stronger and smarter and you know, feeling a little bit more invincible at this point. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I definitely see, you know, everything is going in the right direction, and I'm careful to not take too much credit myself because, you know, again, as I shared, for me, you know, I did have to lean on my higher power, and that, you know, it was my rock in the times of trouble. And, you know, ultimately, we still have to perform. We still have to take action. But you take action in faith, knowing that someone's going to carry you through to the other side. Someone, something.
Well, that's the key part. That's the key part. I think you heard John say this earlier on. I think you need to be taking, you know, a great portion of the credit because you did take action. You know, you can, you know, just praying about it is not going to be enough. You got to, you know, you got to get up and you got to take action. But it's take action in faith, despite the fear, despite the fact you don't feel like it. Because I can assure you, John, there was a lot of days you didn't feel like doing anything, but you did it anyway. Correct?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Still have those days.
Yeah, absolutely. So do not discount yourself. Absolutely do not discount yourself because I want you to take credit for it because I want you to take credit for it so you can do it bigger and better because you still got to take care of that family, and I want you to be stronger and even more confident that John Perry can do it. You know, I'll take care of business. So I want you taking credit for it. I want you taking credit for it.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you for, you know, for being that voice of reason, and also for being that, you know, kick in the butt sometimes that people need. I mean, it's so important, and it's not a popular role to take most times. But the fact that you're willing to do that shows that you care about the people that you're working with, and that's I give you A+ credit on that one, man.
Thank you for that, John. And now, is it okay? Can we take a few questions from some of the apprentices?
Yeah, sure.
All right, guys. So what we're going to do? We're gonna. You've heard John's story. I told you it's just. You know, I believe I was right. Everyone, I can imagine everyone on this call can relate to. You know, the feeling. You may not have had the low of the lows that John felt, but you know, this is the human condition. This is the human condition. We're all operating right now in the middle of the Great Recession, where I mean that pressure alone is enough to cause some people to say, I give up. I'm just going to lay down here and die. And you know, what we talk about on these calls is, if you choose to see it as opportunity, it's actually a phenomenal opportunity. So what I want to do is open it up for questions. You can feel free to type one in, or you can press *6. There's no really rules here other than just, you know, if there's any question I think is inappropriate, I may shut it down, but I don't expect that. But you know, if there's, I want to just, you know, you have a question for John about his deal or about you know, the skill set side or the mindset side, it's a great opportunity to, you know, talk to a gentleman who's actually they'd done the buy and hold using, the bank to give him phenomenal financing, and then he ended up, flipping out, and not flipping out, he flipped the property, and the part we kind of discounted during this whole discussion was the $50,000 cash he made as kind of inside of this process, let alone all the other businesses he's got going, which were indirect benefits of the process. So if you have a question, press *6, come on the line. Or we have a comment or an aha moment.
Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Skip, how are you?
Doing well. I just want to make a comment is because I have had a similar situation in that I had, several life changes or things going on in my life. It was a tough year for some challenges of things going on, and it's just inspiring to hear you, John, say that how you dealt with them and just didn't let it get them. I, to be honest, have let some of them hold me back at times, and I'm consistently working towards getting past those, and I feel like I'm real close to getting past the point of making my first deal. But it is a great inspiration to hear the things you've gone through and the way you have handled them. For me to just say, hey, get off your pity party. Other people are having the same type problems, and other people are getting past and doing deals. So I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for Lance for the motivation you gave him that you're giving us.
All right. Thank you, Skip. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you know what, Skip? I just want to congratulate you, man, for identifying some of these things that you want to address, and I just encourage you, just go ahead and power through it, man. Take on the attitude of victory, right? Don't be a victim. Everyone's got problems in this world, Skip, as we all know. We're all dealing with this recession in our own way.
All right.
But claim that victory for yourself, and don't ever give up.
Okay. I'm not. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to echo something there that John said. I think it's very spot on. And before we take our next question, but I mean, there's what I believe is the real challenge of the Great Recession is that many people who've never felt any financial pressure are feeling that financial pressure now, and they think that there's something wrong with them. They think that they've done something wrong. They think that they've done something wrong, and it gnaws at them from an internal voice standpoint, maybe from an ethical standpoint, and they haven't done anything wrong. And I think it's important for all of us to realize this thing affects everybody, and nobody's done anything wrong, but it's our response to it that we have control to, and if the finances aren't there, we still can respond to it in a way that's in total congruency with who we are. And that's, I think, John's an example of that. Skip, listening to you, I think what I'm hearing from your story, you're an example of that. So, I think that's one of the great things that people aren't realizing right now. They're suffering through this recession. All right, who else has a question or a comment? Press *6. Aha moment. Comment? Question?
Hello, Lance.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Hi, is this Ernest?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead.
I can honestly say appreciate his testimony. Reason being is I remember on January 14th of this year when that was actually the first time I had to talk to you. We was doing a deal review, and I didn't know it or not, but my homeland of Haiti got hit by an earthquake. And when that happened, the type of like what I have to call stress and pain that I had to go through, I think sometimes certain things will kill you, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep going forward, in terms of being positive. Because if you don't, then you lay down. And at that point, I refused to lay down, so I kept moving. And I felt that if I could actually succeed, it would benefit my family and the people around me. And this is one of the reasons why I do what I do. It's not for myself. It's because I'm concerned about the people around me that just don't understand and that do need my help as far as family. And family is very important. And every time that I think about that situation, I have a little cousin that actually died that was 10 years old. A house fell on him. I never met him. I never had a chance to meet him. And to hear my cousins call me from, Haiti and to talk to me, it gave me a reason to keep going, because what if that was me? And to me, to be financially free is where I want to be, and they're not financially free. They lived on the streets. They lived on the streets in tents, and they sent me pictures, and it killed me. But I didn't shed a tear. What I did was I said, I'm going to keep on trucking. I got to keep on moving. I can't not lay down. The minute I lay down, that's when they got me. So I think we all go through it, but we, as entrepreneurs, we do not give up, and that's the spirit of who we are. We're actually burning flames. So to me, it's like, I do appreciate his testimony, because it keeps me going, and when things get hard, I just have to keep going. And I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate his testimony, like I said. So I'm going to start myself out and say, to the best and to the best of all our, successes.
Well, thank you, Ernest. Great. Thank you so much. And I didn't realize that about your family on Haiti. So we had another comment came here from Lynn. She said, John, great story. Thanks for helping us see the positives. So, John, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time, joining us on the call tonight, and being totally candid, sharing your story very openly and I think powerfully, and sharing your lessons learned. So thank you so much for that. I mean, any final words, John, you have for the group?
Well, thank you, Lance, for inviting me. And yeah, it's so important that we share each other's stories and each other's burdens as well as successes, because what you have here with Lance is you have a true community, and you're going to need people to lean on. So lean on Lance, lean on Jim Craig, lean on these people that are there to help you, and don't let excuses stop you from the life that you want.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Of course, you're welcome to hang on, but whatever you want to do. Obviously, you got stuff going on besides family and a lot of several new businesses.
I locked myself in the room, so now I got to go tuck my kids into bed, Lance. But thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.
And guys, keep pressing on. You're closer to success than you realize. You just can't stop.
Exactly.
Don't quit.
Exactly. Thanks, John.